Now let's have a conversation regarding agroecology. I'm Olive Monica Najama. Thank you for sticking with us. And I will be speaking to Josephine Akia, the country coordinator, Pelham, Uganda, and Francis Nsanga, who is the chairman, Agroecology Week of Action 2024. And that's the topic of our discussion, an insight into Uganda's agroecological food systems. I think what I'm saying is a lot of science, but don't worry, it's going to be broken down because I have the experts with me. And starting with Mr. Nsanga. First of all, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Monica, and good morning, all our viewers and listeners, wherever you are. I'm very glad to be here this morning.
Yes.
It's a very good morning, and we look forward to a very good conversation.
All right. And Miss Josephine, good morning.
Good morning, Monica. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Uganda. Very pleased to be here to throw more insights into the agroecological food systems of Uganda.
Okay, and now, Mr. Nsanga, before we take off with our conversation, please help us understand what agroecology means. Because as I was speaking about it earlier, someone even here asked me, Olive, what is agroecology? But I don't want to sound like the expert when I have you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Monica. So agroecology, I know, is a buzzword, but comes from two words, agro and ecology. Ecology is the study of plants, animals, humans, and their relationship. And when you add agro, it sounds like agriculture, isn't it?
Yes.
So agroecology therefore becomes the farming systems that work well with nature. I think the key word here is farming systems, farming techniques that work well with nature. So in simple terms, that is agroecology, and we are going to simplify it more as we go along, because we have many areas to talk about this word. We shall have this word in our conversation until the end of the conversation. So by the end, somebody should be able to tell what agroecology is.
All right.
Yes.
Now, still, now that we have a clear understanding of what agroecology means, I'll still go back to why is it important to Uganda's food systems?
Thank you, Monica. I think one of the things that we need to start with is food is very key in every family. Actually, we can start with the individual. To every individual, food is key.
Yes.
Food is key.
Life.
Yeah, food is life. Now, safe food is very important because it should not just be food. It should be safe food. So the importance of the week that we have, the Agroecology Week of Action, is to bring to all Ugandans and people around the region to understand, but also those in the diaspora, to understand that safe food is important. And safe food can only be safe if it is grown agroecologically and prepared agroecologically and transported. If they are adding value, it should all be done agroecologically. So this week that we have is going to help us unpack many of these aspects. How can food be produced agroecologically? What are the strategies we have in the country, at country level? What strategies do we have that are going to help us work with our farmers to be able to produce food that is safe? How are the markets like? Because we have three activities, three events in this Agroecology Week of Action. And the first event is the National Agroecology Actors Symposium, which is a symposium that brings together partners from the Ministry of Agriculture and partners that are working in the area of agroecology and member organizations of Pelham, Uganda. The second event in this week is the AMAZE. AMAZE is Agroecological Market Systems Expo, which brings together entrepreneurs in the sector of agroecology to make a point and show evidence that markets can work and can feed the country and the nation and the world. But also the third and very important event will be the indigenous Food and Seed Festival. The Indigenous Food and Seed Festival will unpack what are the traditional indigenous foods we have in our country, in our region, and what are the ways you can prepare these foods. I know there are people in Kampala, but also in so many parts of Uganda, who do not know that there are foods that are very nutritious. All they know is fast foods. All they know is what they have been eating on the streets around Kampala, around the cities where they live. And it's a very good opportunity for all people around this country to come and see for themselves the indigenous traditional foods and seeds at the festival. And we are going to be at Africana from tomorrow until Saturday.
Right, from tomorrow until Saturday. Now, Josephine, when we talk about agroecology food systems, it brings my mind to a report that was released last week on World Food Day, which said that 3 in 10 Ugandan households are facing food insecurity. So my question here is, how can agroecology help address hunger, especially for vulnerable groups?
Thank you, Monica. Very interesting question. Personally, I'm of the view Uganda is not food insecure.
That's what I thought.
When you look at the trucks that come through Masakambara Highway, then you also look at those that come all the way from the Rwenzori sub-region, ferrying matoke, ferrying all foodstuffs, cattle. You look at those that come from the eastern route, coming along with bananas still, Irish potatoes, maize. There's a lot that we have. The question goes back to distribution. How are we evenly distributing? Because we all know in Uganda, the Karamoja region or the semi-arid area is one that is always facing issues of food insecurity. And yet we always have a lot that comes through to the central region. If you pass via Nakasero at around 5 p.m., you'll see a lot of garbage heaped. And all this is food that has been left to rot and is being thrown away. Because of one reason or another, maybe the traders didn't have people to buy, and these are perishables. We do not have cold storage facilities for them to save this food till the next day and be able to trade. So my question goes back to, my issue goes back to, how do we distribute? What policies do we have that ensure evenly distribution of food across the different regions, looking at the issues that all these regions are facing, because we all know we're in different agroecological zones. And that is why, as Pelham Uganda, we are coming in to promote agroecology. Agroecology recognizes that an individual farmer can effectively utilize the available space and be able to produce, one, for their own household, but also for commercial purposes through effective utilization of this soil. We believe in aerial farming, where you don't need much soil. All you need are sack gardens, and you're good to go. You have your heap, and you're planting cabbages, for instance, or you're planting sukuma wiki, where you'll get leaves, and these are just bundled up and sold in Nakasero, beginning from 2,000 or 1,000, going upwards. So if we encourage all Ugandans to begin practicing this kind of urban farming techniques, then each person will be able to have at least food on the table. And slowly by slowly, we'll be able to address and reduce the numbers of people who are facing food insecurity in Uganda. And it's only agroecology that can do that. Because if you look at commercial agriculture, it believes in large expanse of lands, 5 acres and beyond, that me and you may not have today.
That's right.
Exactly. But with us, our system, we are very good at land fragmentation. Francis here, I'll use Francis as an example. He's a father, he has got 10 children. He has his one piece of acre. Meaning when he's to die, God forbid, he has to partition this land so that each child gets. So out of an acre, you'll find each person getting a small piece of land.
Yes.
And they also have to do the same if they don't work hard to their children. And so the practice continues. So some of us right now could even not be having anything to inherit, because it stopped at our fathers, and there's nothing for us that they're going to give to us.
Because our fathers had many children, and the land is very small,
yes.
so there is not enough to go around.
Well said, Monica. So whereas we are trying to give birth to 2 children, we still don't know what to give them. Kampala is full. All the neighboring cities, towns within Kampala are full. That wasn't the trend before. So we need to see how are we maximizing our little available soils effectively to address food insecurity issues, both at household, but also ensuring that we benefit commercially from the enterprises that we do.
Okay. Now, I will actually, from what you've said, throw a question back at you still. How effectively can we utilize the little to no soil that we have so that we can get something out of it?
Thank you. Agroecology is built on 13 principles. And one of the principles looks at economic diversification.
Yes.
Meaning you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket. How do you diversify and have quite a number of enterprises that can still help you thrive economically? What we are telling our farmers and what our member organizations are practicing, on a small piece of land, you'll find one has a sack garden, one has a raised garden, another has 2 or 3 beehives in the background, behind somewhere. Another will have rabbits that they're also growing, they are rearing. Then they will also have poultry, especially the local chicken. You'll find one with 2 or 3 goats tethered somewhere. All this is economic diversification. So from the fresh produce, they are able to sell. We even have some farmers not so far away here, Mende, along Kachiri. They are growing amaranth, dodo, packaging it very well and adding value to it. They are even going ahead to solar dry it a bit so that it increases on its perishability in terms of its shelf life. But they also have local chicken, where they are getting eggs, but also selling the bird. One bird at 35,000. So that kind of person, I would comfortably say, is economically stable, but also very food insecure. Very food secure.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you have actually simplified things more. I believe that our viewers have a clear understanding of what we are talking about today. Now you can join the conversation. You can send me messages, inquiries, comments through WhatsApp number 0709-602-592. You can also send a direct text message. I will be able to read it. Please leave your name and where you're texting from. And please do not call. I will not be able to pick those calls. Now, let's look at the 6th National Agroecology Actors Symposium. And I'll come back to you, Francis, now. And for me, I would like to know what the key strategies from this year's symposium to improve Uganda's food systems are.
Okay, thank you very much, Monica. I think for many years now, we've been working on the National Agroecology Strategy. The National Agroecology Strategy, in simple terms, is the roadmap for this country to implement agroecology.
Yes.
We are very glad and pleased that the Ministry of Agriculture has been at the forefront of spearheading the development of the agroecology strategy. And one of the key issues that we shall be fronting and discussing during the National Agroecology Actors Symposium is the presentation of the National Agroecology Strategy. This is a big roadmap that shows how does everyone fit in. The farmers, the actors, the value addition actors, the government and the policy makers. How do each one of those partners, of those stakeholders fit into the strategy? And so the National Agroecology Actors Symposium for this year, NAS 2024, is going to focus on how can we have this agroecology strategy approved and also implemented, because that's where we want to go. We want to see that all Ugandans can have food, but safe food. I want to always underline that, because food is only good food if it is safe. If it is not safe, it's not good food. It's actually poison. So we have the strategy that we are getting to discuss right here in Africana tomorrow, and we will be having partners from the ministries, especially Ministry of Agriculture, but also other line ministries like Trade, and we shall have partners and member organizations of Pelham Uganda and key stakeholders. There are very many key stakeholders in the sector of agroecology, including development partners like FAO, and bilateral and multilateral partners. So that is our focus this year for the NAS, National Agroecology Actors Symposium 2024.
Okay. Now, there is something Josephine touched on ways through which we might be able to ensure that, one, we are food secure, and also that we have food that we can sell. But still, I would like to know, you've talked about the National Agroecology Strategy, and one wonders how it aims to tackle still the issue of poverty and hunger in Uganda. Where am I coming from? If we are saying that larger families and those that are less educated are the ones that are food insecure. Josephine, some of the solutions as Josephine suggested are good solutions, but we are dealing with two problems here. We are dealing with hunger, but also less education. So how are you and your strategy, how is the strategy, how is your strategy aiming to curb or deal with the problem of hunger and also poverty?
Okay, so I think, Monica, you bring out a very good point here, and I will use that to actually point out what the key parts of the strategy are focusing on. One of the things that is even written in the Bible is that my people do not perish because of money, they perish because of
wisdom.
Exactly. So Pelham Uganda, the strategy and all the actors have something to do with extension work. Extension work includes dissemination of knowledge. How do you do this? How do you do that? And one of the projects that we have at Pelham Uganda is called the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture and Agroecology in Eastern Africa. And that project is the project I lead at Pelham Uganda, and it is in 5 countries. However, what I want to point out here is when you look at farmers in the villages, many times they are not having challenges because of anything, but it's because of lack of knowledge. It is the ignorance. It is the lack of the techniques that we are talking about to do what they have to do with the small pieces of land they have. Josephine has put it very clearly. And when she mentioned my name, I remembered. At home we are 18 children. We have 6 acres. 18. So 6 acres, how much do you get? You know?
The math doesn't.
The math doesn't math up. So what is important is to understand how do you use the little you have to produce what will make you food secure, but also have some money in the pocket. In fact, in our approaches at Pelham Uganda and all our member organizations, we look at 2 things. Farmers should have food, safe food, but they should also be able to have some money in the pocket.
Because normally, I've lived in a village before for a minute, and what I've seen is that it's normally about food to eat.
Yeah.
And people live in abject poverty because everything they cultivate, they consume. And then maybe give to Kampala relatives. Yeah, but the strategy of making money out of what you cultivate is what's been lacking.
Okay, so if you remember, and Josephine will come in here later, if you remember, we talked about the AMAZE.
Yes.
Agroecology Market Systems Expo.
Yes.
It's one of the events that we are going to have this week. It's the second event. After the NAS tomorrow, we shall have the AMAZE on Thursday. And what does the AMAZE do? The AMAZE shows, it's a showcasing of how business can work in agroecology. Farmers are producing, I have been to Soroti. I saw farmers with oranges that are dropping rotten. from the trees. But what can you do with oranges when you have a bumper harvest? Is add value. And you can add value using simple techniques. Josephine talked about people who are adding value to amaranthus. Here in Mende, I have Balimisa in Kayunga who are adding value. You know, solar drying pineapples. There are times when we have a lot of...
I was going to mention that.
Yes.
The other day, last week, I found solar dried mangoes and pineapples in the supermarket. And I was traveling, so I bought some. And then a colleague was like, these are good for sugars. If you're running low on sugar, you can actually consume this. Instead of buying crisps, you're eating fruits, albeit sun-dried. So this is our way of adding value.
This is our way of adding value, but also making the farmer get some money. Because under ordinary circumstances, that farmer during the bumper harvest would lose all that to rot. But Josephine is going to add something, of course, to this conversation.
Yes, Josephine, now when this is all exciting, sun drying or solar drying, but do the farmers, maybe this is where we should start, when we talk about these different ways of adding value to the food stuff that the farmers harvest, do they, first of all, are they equipped with the knowledge on how to do this? And secondly, do they have the resources? If it is equipment, do they have them in so that they enable them or aid in the process of value addition?
Thank you. That is why agroecology is here. But I want us to go back before I answer your two questions of whether we have the finances and whether we're equipped. I think it's a very huge misconception that our farmers are ignorant because they didn't go to school. Our farmers are actually moving encyclopedias with a lot of indigenous and traditional knowledge on how to best practice agriculture. If you can testify, our grandmothers did a lot that we didn't ever know, and we are only getting to put it into context right now. But these are things that they did since time immemorial. That my grandmother would look at the clouds and say, those clouds are going to rain. Those clouds continue washing. There's nothing going to happen. Go back and dig. It's not going to rain. And this is the same information that our farmers have. So I believe people who think our farmers are ignorant
because they didn't
go to school should learn today that those guys are really very knowledgeable. The only challenge that they do not, the only challenge they face is they do not have up-to-date data and information as a result of a lot of changes that have happened, as a result of climate change, for instance, as a result of increased pests and disease infestation. Some things are new because we all know that any pathogen, any pest, as a result of evolving times, also evolves due to mutation. So they may not know how to address some of the pests and diseases that are happening right now, but they will still find ways of addressing these issues. A case in point was when we had the army fallworm. They innovated all different kind of things, and this worked even before the government came in with aerial spraying. So we believe that all they need is the current technology, the current information to address the challenges that they are facing. Back to your question, access to finance, very well said. In Uganda, we all know that agriculture is rendered the risky enterprise for our financial institutions to even go ahead and give loans to the smallholder farmers, because nobody knows what happens as a result of the vagaries of weather. But increasingly, we also want to recognize that there are some financial institutions that have gone ahead to offer and put ahead different financial packages that a smallholder farmer can benefit from, till the very largest farmer in terms of mechanization and all that. The question is this accessible to the farmers? Yes and no. Some are really accessible, some are not. And that is why we're organizing the Agroecology Market and Systems Expo. We are bringing entrepreneurs, we are bringing the farmers, we are bringing financial institutions to discuss directly with the farmers and tell them what are the available packages they have to offer. How can they access this money? But also at a lower level, we promote village lending and saving associations, where the farmers collect amongst themselves from the little that they get as a result of trading their products. This is saved, so they are able to grow this. And we have those that have grown from village savings and lending associations to circles. Way back in Nebi, we have one of our member organizations, CEFOD, that has a very huge circle that is even grown now to a microfinance institution because the farmers are able to sell. They trade in very large commodities, simsim, rice, then oranges. So we increasingly telling our farmers bulk. I may have little because of my land, but if I get what Francis is growing, what I'm also growing, what Monica is growing, we put that together, we shall be able to raise a ton. And then we can comfortably move to an exporter or to a trader or to Mukwano and tell them, look here, we have this many tons of simsim and we're willing to sell to you at this price. Because there you have the bargaining muscle compared when Mukwano or any other trader comes and buys it from the farm gate. So when you amalgamate and you sell in groups and you bulk, then you're able to do that. But also as Pelham, we are trying to see how do we link our farmers to be outgrowers to already established exporting companies within Uganda. Because the biggest challenge that they face when they reach at that level is certification. Certification is quite expensive, and in the National Agroecology Strategy, it's one of the things we're trying to tell government to do, to help us support the certification costs that are associated with certification of our agroecological products, but also the organic products that have to be traded as organic on the international markets. So we need to see how do we have this cost either subsidized or government take it on. And we're working closely with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, but also Uganda Certification Company, UGOSAT, that is responsible for certification, and also the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. So with access to finance through the informal system, through the formal system, the farmers are able to get money that they can easily inject into the agro-enterprises and are able to add value. They are able to purchase solar dryers. They are able to purchase more storage facilities, coolers, where if at all it's fresh, they can store for some time and then sell it up at the perfect time.
Well, thank you, Josephine. And if you're just joining us right now, we are speaking, we are having a conversation of on the Agroecology Week of Action 2024, and it is an insight into Uganda's agroecological food systems that we are delving deeper into. And I'm having this conversation with Josephine Akia, who is the country coordinator, Pelham Uganda, and Francis Nsanga, who is the chairman, Agroecology Week of Action 2024. Now, I have views that are coming through, and I would like to share those. One from Oyo Silva. He says, good morning. Agroecology is a good idea, but people don't know what to do because agriculture is no longer a priority in Uganda, to the extent that it is even optional on the syllabus of the new curriculum. Francis, would you like to give feedback to that?
Yes, thank you very much, our viewers, and thank you, Silva, for that comment. Yes, I think one of the things that we are trying to address is information and making sure that some of these things are prioritized. And if you listen and remember where we started from, we were talking about having knowledge available to the farmers, knowledge available to all the stakeholders, and making knowledge that is up to date available to our traditional and indigenous farmers who know the traditional techniques,
yes,
but the new developments need new knowledge.
Yes.
And so we want to re-emphasize that the need for knowledge has never been as important as it is today. So Silva, you have a point, and I want to agree with you. I think in our strategy, we also want to address and include and emphasize that education also needs to embrace agroecology in a way of having the curriculum you know, have agroecology as part of the subject.
You know, there have been questions on why history, for example, is in some cases a compulsory subject and agriculture is not. Not that history is not important, because I mean lawyers and politicians have history to guide them, but agriculture for a country, let's say like a country like Uganda, where agriculture is the backbone of our economy and basically of our existence, why would we have such a subject as an optional?
I think as Josephine comes in after my submission, I think making it optional does not make it any less than.
There are some schools that don't even have it at all.
Maybe because they don't have where to practice. There are schools that I know that are in 2 buildings, one building on the left and another on the right.
Isn't that most of the schools we have?
Exactly. So they are not having agriculture because of it's by kind of design. They have no space for it.
Yes.
But we would encourage that as much as possible, all schools would actually embrace agroecology. I want to give you an example. We have Uganda Matters University. And everybody knows Uganda Matters University.
Yes.
It has courses for agroecology from undergraduate to PhD. You know? So there is no reason why Silver, for example, shouldn't take up agroecology when he wants it. Some of the institutions might have space issues, might have facility issues.
That's just not a priority.
I don't think so, because they all eat food, and like we said, food is so key to every individual, every family, every institution. And so I think it's because of the structure and the facility challenges that they have, but not because food is not a priority.
No, the food growing. But anyway, I have other views. The next is from Louis Mugera, who says, good morning, Olive. Today's discussion about agroecology is really another way to curb food insecurity. Could you show more ways of diversifying different farming activities? And this will go to you, Josephine.
Thank you, Silva. I actually talked about this based on our principle of economic diversification. And what we always encourage our farmers to do is we have that saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So it's the same thing that we do in agroecology, enterprise, mixing, but also promoting integration of, for instance, agroforestry, where you have a fruit tree and not an ornamental tree integrated within your farm. Have an avocado, where you know that you can always harvest. Have a jackfruit. We love jackfruits in Uganda, that you don't even need to spray, and you know they flourish by themselves. So we promote economic diversification, we promote value addition as a way of also trying to increase the value of your agroecological products as much as possible. Allow me go back to the earlier discussion on agriculture and our educational system. Within the draft National Agroecology Strategy, we have a whole article or section that is talking about research, education, and extension. And why this is because we are also trying to see how do we make agriculture mandatory and not one that is an optional subject. Frankly speaking, if you get up in the morning and you eat, then it's your business to make sure that you know where this food is grown. And as parents of this current generation, I was talking to one of my friends who was telling me the kids were challenging him how cassava looks like, and he didn't know where to take them. Please, it starts with us. It starts within your backyard. It starts from your home. If you're the one that is telling the child cassava is dirty, let the maid peel it, then that is the wrong attitude we are putting in our children. Let's encourage them to learn and practice agriculture each time there's an opportunity. But also interventions towards how do we involve the young ones into agriculture. For instance, Pelham Uganda was leading on implementation of a project that we called Youth in Agroecology, Learning and Business Track Africa. This was basically trying to see how do we change that mindset Because when we're growing up, agriculture was a punishment.
Yes.
You do anything bad, they tell you go and dig.
Go and dig.
You do anything bad, they tell you today it is you going to tether the chicken at the goats at the farm. So we wanted to see how do we interest the youth and take away that mentality of the little land they have, sell and run and up to Kampala and buy a boda boda. But instead go back and cultivate this land. So this project was looking at how do we recruit more youth into agriculture, but also let them participate in the value chain nodes they are comfortable with. We know that production may not be so good for them. One point somebody, one of the youth told us, if you want us to practice agriculture, make it sexy.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Make it enticing
Make
for
it
us.
enticing, yes.
So what are some of the nodes that are enticing? They love value addition because it's not dirty, and yet it's going to fetch you much more than the cassava, for instance. So we used to encourage them to participate in those kind of ventures. We also did mentorship and coaching, where there's an ex-farmer. Francis has told you he's a farmer, a big one at that. So how do we get the like of Josephine, who doesn't want to do agriculture, to sit down with Francis, so that Francis takes them through how he was able to venture, as a way of mentorship and showing them that it's possible. Chisoboka. Nachikola na osobolo chikola. So this is one of the things that we have been doing with the farmers, but also taking them to exposure and learning visits. We had a caravan where we got over 50 farmers, put them into 2 coasters, and took them through Uganda, just seeing that it can work. Because there's a tendency of them saying, we've only seen Francis. But for me, I'm from Mumbarara. Where does it work? We have a member who is based in Ruchiga, up in the hills. He's doing a lot of work. Alex is our champion when it comes to the areas of Kabale and Ruchiga. So we took them around to learn and see that this is possible. And through this kind of enterprises, through this kind of interventions, we'll have more and more young children taking on agriculture, but also the education curriculum like you talked about. I'm happy that Chambogo approached us and they're also beginning. Uganda Christian University is doing the same. Makerere has a whole faculty on agriculture. And it doesn't have to begin at Makerere. I'm a living example though. I didn't do agriculture at my O-level or even bachelor's, but I was forced to do it after knowing what is in it. So it's never too late. You can still do it even throughout. Even when you've cut your age, I'm a lawyer, you can still get the basics of agriculture from Uganda Matters University, from Makerere that always does, it's called a fellowship program during, I think it's a summer school actually, basically on agriculture and all different topics therein.
Okay, now before I go back to Francis, someone here is saying this is good luck, and he says that you didn't effectively answer the question on how to manage poverty with and food, the problem of poverty and also food insecurity. But he says he mainly wants you to answer the part of distribution, because you say we are not food insecure, but food distribution sometimes is the problem. But then he says markets determine distribution.
Sure.
So how do we determine good markets and availability?
We have to begin with what does the market want? That way you're able to grow exactly what the market is demanding for. It's not the other way around. We had some time back a number of projects that government was promoting, and everybody cut down all their bananas in Mukono and planted vanilla. Vanilla came, everybody was growing vanilla. People invested in having security guards watch their vanilla gardens, because at that time we all anticipated that the price was going to be so premium for every farmer to get. Then what happened? We were not meeting the required demands by the market, and this became so frustrating. So in agroecology we tell you, grow for the market. They want particular sizes, they want particular quantities, they have preferences. And when we are looking at the Agroecology Market and Systems Expo, this is the platform that is bringing together everybody. within the marketing, within the business development services, within the value chain, to interact so that we have a buyer directly connected to a producer, and then they can crack their business deals. But also addressing his issue of the market. We are working with available territorial markets. What are the territorial markets? Kaleere, Nakawa, Busega, Kasubi, Chireka. We also have one around Gaba. Those are the territorial markets. When you go in those markets, you will not find any stall that has agroecology products. So we are working with the chairman of this and the management of these markets to see that we have agroecological products in the market, so that our farmers can sell and distribute to the stall, and then you and I can get these products. As opposed to going to Mende, which is so many kilometers from Kampala, you can still get this dried amaranth from a stall within Nakawa that is very close to you. So we are addressing the issue of markets and looking at marketability of our products, but also profitability of these products as well, to address the issue of increasing incomes.
Okay, thank you, Josephine. Now, Francis, Bill is saying that could you please relate agroecology with, let me rephrase. He says, could you please relate this ongoing agroecology drive to the relate this to the ongoing drive to promote the 4-acre model and coffee and cocoa production?
Okay, thank you, Bill. I might not know the 4-acre model squarely, but I know I've heard about it. I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that land is a very limited resource. That's the first thing that we should have in our minds, all of us. And given that fact, we need to work with what we have very well. So linking what we have, the Agroecology Week of Action, making agroecology work and feed the world, we want to say that if you have a small piece of land, for example, you have 1 acre, and you want to have food, but you also want to have income, what we are saying is that use the agroecological practices, where you don't only grow maize for your 1 acre, and then you cannot afford to have vegetables, you can't afford to have manure, you can't afford to have everything else, and you have now to buy them from outside. So what we are saying is that the little land that you have, 1 acre, 2 acres, there are people with even, 100 by, is it called 50 by 100? 50 by 100, and you need food. What do? You use agroecological practices, where we have, for example, the raised beds, the sack gardens, etc. that we started talking about this morning. So, in line with the 4-acre approach, which I'm not very knowledgeable about, but I've heard about it, I would say that it is important for every farmer to understand that if they are going to take on cocoa or coffee as their major, they should spare some space for food crops.
Yes. Like
potatoes, vegetables, fruits. Having a jackfruit does not take even 10 feet. It's just in that place. And under that jackfruit, you can even grow other things. If the jackfruit tree is tall enough, you can even have chicken at the bottom.
Okay.
This is what I'm doing in my own place. I have every small thing in a small space that I have. So we want to encourage people as much as possible that the agroecology way of doing things is the best thing to do, because you use that small space to have variety of what you need, and you can have income but as well have food.
All right, Francis, now we have come to the end of our conversation, but before I let you go, I would like for you to have a call to action to Ugandans. The event is taking place, and I would like to know more about that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you, UBC team, for this wonderful opportunity for us to be here. First of all Ugandans, and non-Ugandans who are living around and can come to Kampala, please come. We have the national actors National Agroecology Actors Symposium tomorrow at Hotel Africana, and we have all the other events at Hotel Africana. We'll have the Amaze in the People's Space at Africana. I know many people know that space. So come and see, come and learn, come and know how to make business out of agroecological products. But also, if you are doing agroecology, come and see who can support you. The bankers are going to be around. The insurance companies will be here. The partners who are doing value addition will be here. The exporters will be with us.
Is there a fee to, is there an entrance fee?
The entry is free of charge. Please come and enjoy what we have. And also, lastly, is the Indigenous Food and Seed Festival. Now, that will be on Friday and Saturday, still in the People's Space at Africana. Entrance is completely free. Come and enjoy, come and learn, come and see the indigenous and traditional foods that you have probably never seen. Come and enjoy, because we shall be having these foods prepared, prepared right there. And they will be available for you to test and to see how the soup, you know, tests.
Well, thank you so much,
Yes.
Francis and Josephine. It's been a very enlightening conversation. Seeing from the feedback that we have been getting, I won't be able to share all your messages, but thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And once again, the Agroecology Week of Action 2024 is taking place from tomorrow up until Saturday at Hotel Africana in the People's Room. Entrance is free, so make sure to be there. I'll be ending the conversation right here, but Good Morning Uganda continues as Ruben Pima is coming up next with sports updates. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day.